Everyone at the Morgan Auto plant knew George, the quiet old mechanic with silver hair, worn-out boots, and hands that moved like poetry over machines. He didn't say much, but when engines coughed or machines groaned, George listened like a doctor with a stethoscope pressed to a patient's chest. For 35 years, he served the company with loyalty, never missed a day, never asked for a raise. But one Monday morning, without warning, they handed him a cardboard box and told him he was being phased out. Automation was cheaper. Management had no room for dinosaurs. As George walked out of the factory gates, shoulders slumped under the weight of betrayal, the younger workers watched in silence. No goodbye party, no handshake from the CEO, just an exit. But George didn't fight. He just nodded and left, eyes heavy with sadness, but burning with something else. Resolve. What no one knew, not even his closest colleagues, was that George had been working on something for years in the dusty garage behind his house. A dream. A design that lived in notebooks filled with scribbles and coffee stains. While the company was busy replacing people with machines, George had been crafting an invention that could redefine everything. An engine so efficient, it could triple fuel economy and reduce emissions to near zero. It had started as a hobby, a distraction after his wife passed away. He poured his grief and genius into mechanics. Every paycheck he saved a little to buy parts. Every night he labored alone, testing prototypes, fixing failures, and pushing on. His hands were blistered, his back ached, but his mind was alive. And finally, just weeks before his firing, it had worked. His engine purred softly, smoothly, and without waste. It was quiet, like him, but powerful. Still, he never got the chance to present it. The company never asked. They didn't care about ideas from an old man with grease under his nails. So after they fired him, he took his savings, mortgaged his house, and built a single, working car using his engine. It looked plain, no chrome, no flash, but what it could do stunned even George. One tank of gas lasted a month. The emissions monitor barely flickered. He knew he had something that could change the world. But the challenge wasn't just building it, it was being heard. When George approached car companies, they laughed at him. They dismissed him as a crank. If your idea worked, they scoffed, someone would have done it already. He was denied, ignored, and once even escorted out of an office by security. His money was running out. His house was on the line. For the first time, he considered giving up. That's when Mia, a young engineer who once worked under him at the factory, reached out. She had always admired George, not just for his skill, but his patience. She believed in him. "Let's show the world," she said. With her help, they filmed a simple video, George explaining the engine, demonstrating the car, and revealing his blueprints. No actors, no marketing, just truth. They uploaded the video to a small YouTube channel. Nothing happened at first. Then within days, it exploded. Mechanics, engineers, climate activists, and car lovers across the globe shared it. Views skyrocketed. Industry insiders started whispering. George's phone rang nonstop. News outlets came calling. The same executives who once ignored him now begged for meetings. But George didn't want to sell to the highest bidder. He wanted change. With Mia by his side, he launched a small startup, using crowdfunding to produce the engines independently. Thousands donated, volunteers lined up, former factory workers, also laid off, joined him, not just for a paycheck, but for purpose. Within a year, George's invention forced the auto industry to respond. Competitors scrambled to copy his design, but they couldn't match the precision. He became a global name, not for fame, but for revolution. People around the world thanked him for saving their air, their fuel, and their future. One morning, George stood in front of a new factory, his factory. Workers smiled, engines hummed. Mia walked beside him, now the company's lead engineer. A reporter asked him, "What made you keep going after they fired you?" George looked down at his hands, still scarred, still strong. He said, "They thought I was finished. But some things you don't build for money. You build them because the world needs them." And with that, the quiet old mechanic, once forgotten, became the man who rewrote the future of machines.
Moral: never underestimate the quiet ones. The world may ignore them, mock them, or push them aside, but sometimes it's the silent hands behind the scenes that end up changing everything.